This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions and answer them here in video format. A ton of questions to get into, so let's just jump into it. And we're going to start with the first question of the day. It comes from Justin, who says, would Ruben Foster be a viable option to bring in for special teams and a possible backup? I know he had off the field issues, but we have a strong culture and he could fit in a limited role. Now, if you've been watching spring football, you would know that Ruben Foster has put together a good couple of years of spring football work as well. I would not mind bringing in Ruben Foster. It seems like there has been enough time between what got him kicked out the NFL and a clean record off the field since then. He has been getting good reviews from his coaches and his teammates in the UFL. And I think if he were to get another opportunity, he would take advantage of it. He has that plus level ability to be a backup Mike linebacker. Also can be somebody who can, play some Sam as well and some special teams. I wouldn't be opposed to going after Ruben Foster. I think that he's done what he could do off the field to kind of make up for that situation so far. And I think that if the Browns were to give him an opportunity, I would be for it. Anthony Garcia says, do you think the Browns can reach a reasonable extension with Coop? It depends on what you mean by an extension. Will he get a pay raise for this year? Maybe. Look, I think that it's also possible that Amari Cooper just kind of sits it this year and plays on this contract and then tries to get the bag from somebody else this offseason. And I think the Browns are fine with that being the case. I don't know if a multi-year extension gets done. I think maybe a 2-year extension is possible. A 1-year extension or 1-year restructure is possible. But a 3 or 4 year deal with guaranteed money past the 3rd or 4th year, I don't know. I don't know about that. But thank you for the question. Next question comes from Patrick, who says, Q, if Coop does not sign can Cleveland franchise tag him? What's the scenario? If the Browns don't extend Amari Cooper, they're probably not interested in giving him the franchise tag. The franchise tag is like $28 million. So that's out the question for Amari Cooper. I doubt they would do that. The Browns basically don't have anybody who would make sense to franchise tag until maybe Denzel Ward, maybe Myles Garrett, but I would assume you're just going to extend Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward might be somebody, but the franchise tag just doesn't make sense for Amari Cooper. You don't want to pay Amari Cooper at like 31 years old close to $30 million. And I think the franchise tag is the average of the top 5 players' salaries in the NFL. So that tag would be much higher than what market value is for Amari Cooper for 1 year. So I doubt that's how they solve that problem. And again, I think the problem is the Browns don't want to go into any guaranteed money with Amari Cooper past 2026. KJ says the weakest position room going into camp, it's obviously linebacker, right? I think if you look at the defensive tackle room, you see 4 or 5 guys that you could throw out there, feel good about. If you have the edge room, the edge room has Myles. It's good enough not to be the weakest position group based on that alone. But they also have Za'Darius. They also have Alex Wright. They also have Obo Okoronkwo. They got a bunch of stallions in that stable as well. And then you look at the corners, that room's deep. The safeties, that room's deep. Offensive line, that room's deep. Tight end, you can make the argument tight end's there, but they have a David Njoku, and the linebackers have JOK. I think David Njoku is a bit more proven than JOK, so it would go to the linebacker room. So that's why I think that's the weakest position group going into camp. How much does that matter? It's up to be for discussion, but that's where we're at. Next question comes from Jaden Browner, who says, expectations for Juan Thornhill. If he has a year like last year, will he be in Cleveland next year? I don't think Juan Thornhill was that bad that he's like on a hot seat or something. It's more of a question of like how much you value safety play and where the team is at that time. If Juan Thornhill plays well and the Browns are on the cusp or were close to getting a championship, then Juan Thornhill will probably stay throughout the remainder of his contract. If Juan Thornhill has a worse year than he had last year and he plays at John Johnson levels and there's replacements out on the market, then they could go after that. Raw Dollar says, based on the 2023 stats for the Browns defense, do you believe based on the offseason moves that the defense should be able to improve upon that performance? If they do improve, what do you think of nicknaming the defense the Mountain of Mud? If we learned anything last year, we learned that you just can't make a nickname happen just because you want it to. In this little stat sheet that he sent me, it says they gave up less than 2,500 total yards, which is over 200 less than second place. They have the lowest passing yards allowed in the NFL, lowest passing touchdowns. They were the lowest quarterback rating. Look, those numbers that they put up last year, and you put up some of the crazier numbers in there too, per drive, 4.3 plays. The Browns are basically averaging a 3 and out. It's going to be hard to replicate those numbers. I don't know if you replicate those numbers because you're just not going to run into that same mix of bad offenses, bad weather that you played against last year or that you got to. Like, you got to go against the backup of the Houston Texans when you played them, and who knows what the schedule lays out to be. But you got some fortunate breaks there, right? You got Clayton Tune. You got Clayton Tune when you played the Arizona Cardinals. We'll see what kind of breaks this team gets, but I doubt they're able to replicate those kind of numbers. If they do, this is the best defense on earth. But will they be able to replicate the level of impact that they had last year? I do. So that's where I'm at with it. And as far as nicknames, again, we learned our lesson from last year. We threw out 1 million nicknames. Ain't none of them things stick. All right. Ian says, hey, Q, I doubt that Ken Dorsey will be on the team longer than Stefanski. With that said, what happens to the offense once Dorsey leaves? Do we return to a Kubiak-like scheme, or will Kevin continue to let the new OC put their prints on the offense as he takes a back seat? I feel like we look at the offensive coordinator head coach situation as a binary, and it's just not the case. This is a collaboration, right? It's not either it's going to be Kevin Stefanski's offense or it's going to be Ken Dorsey's offense. It's going to be a collaboration between Kevin Stefanski and whoever the offensive coordinator is. So Kevin's prints are always going to be on this offense. I don't think he's taking a back seat. He's just changing who he's collaborating with, right? He was collaborating with somebody who had a lot of agreements with him, so his influence was pretty much 100%. Now it's going to be closer to 50 or 40-50 or whatever it ends up being. 60-40 it is, but it's not a binary. It's not either Ken Dorsey's offense or Kevin Stefanski's offense. It's going to be a collaboration between the two of those. And if Ken Dorsey leaves, then Kevin looks around, looks at the roster, sees what elements he wants to add to the team on the offensive side of the ball, and then we'll bring in somebody to do that. Right. It's the same thing with Andy Reid. Andy Reid collaborates with his offensive coordinators. Same thing with Kyle Shanahan. He collaborates with his offensive coordinators. Like, it's not just a either or situation. Kevin is going to run what he likes to run, but he's going to also collaborate with people who he feels like have strengths that can help where the offensive makeup of the roster is at that time. Right now, it makes sense to have Ken Dorsey. If your quarterback was not Deshaun Watson, you might be going down a different direction. So that's kind of what dictates this. I don't want to say anything that would make people feel like it's going to be like a binary type thing. Like they're just going to have to create a new offense from scratch if Ken Dorsey is here or not. This is a collaboration. Kevin's fingerprints are on this as well as Ken Dorsey. So if Ken Dorsey leaves, somebody else will just have to replace that role in the collaborative process. CBB says, Q, I've been thinking a lot about the team's future. Where would you rank the Browns' outlook compared to the rest of the division in terms of brightest to bleakest? If I were to rank a team with the bleakest future, it's probably Pittsburgh. And it's not because they're going to be like a 4-win team for the rest of eternity. It's because they're going to be like a 7 to 10-win team forever. But I don't know if they're ever going to be in position to get a quarterback. And part of that is because they're not going to be bad enough to draft one. Another part of that is they are not aggressive enough as an organization to do what's necessary to get a quarterback, right? You're going to have to trade some draft picks. You're going to have to be aggressive if you want a quarterback. Everything about the Pittsburgh Steelers says they want to value shop at quarterback. And while 1 or 2 teams every 10 years gets lucky value shopping for quarterback, most of the time you're going to end up in QB purgatory. That's what happened to the Cleveland Browns. The issue with the Browns is they spent 2 top 5 picks on quarterbacks throughout that entire 20-year run, right? And the 2 top 5 picks they spent at quarterbacks in that 18-year run were the 2 best quarterbacks that they had in that span, in Tim Couch and Baker Mayfield. Every other year other than 2001 and 2018, every other year that the Browns were in quarterback purgatory is because we thought we was going to be cute and start a 3rd round pick or start a 2nd round pick or get a street free agent or get somebody who was a starter somewhere. Get this guy who was a backup. Now he has potential to start. Let's give him a chance, right? We were value shopping for quarterback. And that's why I see Pittsburgh in. They're value shopping for quarterback. Oh, let's get Russell Wilson here on a $1 million deal, kind of prove it to see if he still got anything. And if that doesn't work out, let's see if this retread in Justin Fields works, even though the Bears didn't want him and they would have rather had Caleb Williams, right? Let's see if that works out. That's where the world they're living in. If Baltimore has a quarterback, the Bengals have a quarterback. The Browns want to, the Browns, we're not sure if that quarterback is what the Browns want that quarterback to be in Deshaun Watson. But the one thing you do know about the Browns is that if one becomes available or if they have to make an aggressive move to get a quarterback, they are most certainly willing to do it. So that means that even if the Browns don't have a quarterback, if they leave the next 2 seasons saying, hey, we don't have a quarterback, Deshaun's not the guy, you can trust that they are going to be aggressive enough as an organization to do that and get one, or at least attempt to get one. The Steelers feel like they're going to be value shopping for a very long time because they can get away and win 8 games with it. And that's why I think they have probably the bleakest future of all teams, if we're just looking at it from that perspective. My guy D Jones says, question. With the offense, in the event that Nick Chubb is not ready to play in the beginning of the season, do you see the team rolling with Nyheim Hines, Deontay Foreman, or maybe getting another running back at the final cuts? No, they're going to roll with Nyheim Hines. They're going to roll with Deontay Foreman. They're going to roll with Jerome Ford. And I think that's fine. They can do that. The Browns beat Baltimore last year with Jerome Ford as starting running back. So I think they feel fine in it. I think they're a little bit higher on Jerome Ford than most of the Browns internet is. But yeah, I think they feel like they're okay there with what they have at running back. Lou says, if Jed Wills stays healthy and plays like he did in 2020, do the Browns extend him? Probably they do extend him. I don't know if they should. I thought you could do something to get off Jed Wills last year. And again, the issue with Jed is I don't really trust him to be consistent, and I value consistency. Because if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, consistency matters. It really matters because you need to win 4 games in a row in order to win a Super Bowl. So that's why I would be hesitant to give Jed a bunch of money because he has not been the most consistent player in all the world. He's a good player. He's a starting tackle. I would like to see what the options are, though, to be honest with you. But that's going to be it for Q&A. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.